had established that the generation cost would be adjusted once in 6 months. So for a period of 6 months, the cost of generation will be fixed. And that cost of generation will be transparently passed from generation to transmission, transmission to distribution, and distribution to customer. In fact, it's time to come, hopefully, in your electricity bill, you should be able to see this breakup of cost. What happens after 6 months would be an adjustment of the generation cost, which would reflect any new situations that are relevant to the next 6 months period, and an adjustment for what has happened in the past 6 months period. Say for example, for year 2011, for the first 6 months, the Public Utilities Commission has established the average energy cost of producing electricity, to be 6 rupees and 98 cents per kilowatt hour. That's the figure you see at the bottom of this slide. And that reflects effectively 12 and other operating costs. But there are investments. There is staff who has to be paid, and there are maintenance costs. There are private power producers whose capacity charges have to be paid. So therefore the figure of 966 rupees per megawatt per month represents the cost of capacity. And these figures will remain constant for 6 months. Now, another complication. The generation cost varies during different times of the day. And of course, it varies from moment to moment and from month to month as well. But we need to communicate to the electricity user that the cost of electricity is different at different times of the day. It would be ideal if we can also communicate to the customer the varying prices of electricity from month to month. But to avoid all this confusion in a market which is still embarking on the first step of the regulatory process, what has been established in the new regulatory regime is a three-interval pricing system in which the cost of generation across 3 time intervals within a day are separately identified. So what you see in this slide are the cost of generation in 3 intervals averaged over a period of 6 months. And unlike the previous figure of 698, these figures also include an adjustment for losses in the transmission network. And you will see 2 other items in this slide. A short-term debt recovery provision. As you know, and as you saw in the first slide, the electricity sector has been running at a loss for a very long period. In spite of various concessions that were provided by the government from time to time, still, particularly the Srilanka Electricity Board carries a very large debt burden. And part of this debt, as I explained right at the beginning, is long-term debt. And the other part is short-term. And what this column represents, or what this column says, effectively, is that every 52 cents in a unit of electricity now goes this year to settle the short-term debt. And what the next column says is another story. That the renewable energy that is purchased above the equivalent value of 12 is already causing a burden of 11 cents when electricity is transferred from transmission to generation. Ideally, that figure should be 0. by going in for renewable energy, according to the policy of the government, we should not have had any incremental burden on the electricity user. But already, the burden is 11 cents per kilowatt hour at the point of delivery to the distribution network. And what you see on the last column are the final prices of sales of energy from transmission to distribution. So as you see, there is clarity as to what price and at what time electricity is sold from transmission to distribution. And between transmission and distribution, although these entities are owned by the same institution, there are meters. There are meters because the businesses are separated. This table is too detailed perhaps for some of you to see. The full table is available in the handout. But what I would like to point out is the customer tariff, as you see here, which are based on the last year's prices. So in last year's electricity prices prevailed into this year. As you will see, the households have to be subsidized to the tune of 34 billion rupees. 34 billion rupees, as you see somewhere in this chart over here. And there are various other customers that are subsidized as well. So the features, if I summarize, to start with, it is not in alignment with the principle of pricing electricity, because electricity costs are determined by the voltage at the point of purchase, and that determines the capacity charge and the average energy charge that you should charge a customer. At the time of use determines the variance of energy charge. And if you carefully count the number of different customer categories that you find in this chart, inclusive of the various household blocks, you will count 27 different types of customers, including household blocks and the religious blocks. And the customers who are subsidized are the households using up to 180 kilowatt hours, and all religious customers, small and medium industries, and also hotels classified as industry. That was the situation that prevailed last year. And all other customers pay a surcharge. And even with this surcharge, as you see right at the bottom of this table, over here, there is a shortage of a very large amount of money. So, in the process of converting costs to prices, the previous policy appears to have satisfied some people and antagonized another group of people, but still the sector has to report losses and depend on subsidies. Now, the new electricity pricing policy carries what is called a roadmap, which will ultimately make the customers pay what it costs to get their electricity service. It is required for all the stakeholders to agree and understand that all customers should pay what it costs to supply electricity to them. I don't think any customer likes against his will to pay somebody else's cost. But today that is happening. A lot of people are being subsidized and a few people are paying subsidies. And those subsidies are not adequate, so therefore the government is paying additional subsidies. Government subsidy to the sector means that everybody pays their subsidy indirectly, now or sometime in the future. So therefore, the roadmap that you see in this chart and explained in the paper would gradually, over a period of 5 years, simplify the pricing structure quite a bit. For example, if this roadmap is allowed to be implemented, by year 2015, there will be no block of the household for the pricing of electricity. After 2015, no engineer would have to determine whether the customer is one family or two families. Because whether he has one house or two houses, the price of electricity and the bill will be the same. There are a lot of details for which I will not go into, but there are a few other key points on the right-hand side of this chart, which are basically relevant to the bulk customers of electricity. And the first step of this chart for year 2011 has already been implemented by moving the medium and large industrial and hotel customers to a mandatory time of use pricing regime. That means the bulk customers, who in our view are the people who can actually do something and manage their demand, take their electricity use out of the peak period, have now been moved to a mandatory time of use pricing regime. There will be some transition period, there will be some metering improvements to be done, and they are being done to implement this new policy. And in the longer term, not only the bulk customers, all the institutional customers, including small commercial, small industrial, medium commercial, hotels, everybody, is expected to be moved to a mandatory time of use pricing regime, so that he is free to manage his demand, to solve one of the big problems in the Sri Lanka electricity industry of having an excessively high demand in the evening peak period. And also, as I previously mentioned, the cost of electricity is determined by the point of purchase of electricity at the network. So if all go well, what would happen in year 2015, the differences between different classes of customers would go away. Whether you are an industry or a hotel or a commercial building, you will be charged at the same rate. But if you manage your demand, you will be paying different prices. But the rate schedule will be the same. So, this is the ideal pricing structure. If the new pricing policy is implemented according to the roadmap of transition from this year right up to year 2015, this will be the new pricing structure. Disregard the numbers that are in the structure, because the numbers are arbitrary, because I do not know what the prices will be in year 2015. But this is the ideal pricing structure that would minimize the ambiguity and also help all electricity customers to understand their electricity bill. I'm sure in this audience, most of you actually do not understand your electricity bill, because it is so complicated, the calculation is so complicated, you simply pay and pay or just keep quiet. So, by this kind of a simplified structure, it should be possible to communicate to the electricity customer the true price or the true cost of supplying electricity to him at his point of purchase and at the time he wants electricity. And for the benefit of electrical engineers in the audience, you will see a new item in this table, a reactive power charge. This comes in from years of observation that Sri Lanka's electricity users pay very little attention to their power factor. So therefore it has already been proposed that probably in a year or two that there will be a special charge on the bills of not the small customers, but the medium and large customers, if their power factor is not close to whatever that is stipulated, it is close to 1.0. So, in the future, the customers should be able to buy not only real power, but they will be able to buy reactive power as well. But reactive power can be produced at home, unlike real power. So the customers again will be given the choice. If you like, you produce reactive power in your premises by fixing capacitor, or pay for your reactive power and purchase it from your distribution license. So this is the ideal structure, and the reform process has already begun. I told you of 27 different categories of customers, and already from 1st of January this year, that 27 is down to 20. There are only 20 categories of customers in the new pricing schedule that is now active from 1st of July. And in this one, there are only 4 categories of customers. And this is the target for year 2015. In year 2015, whether you are an industry or a hotel or a commercial building would be immaterial when you pay for your electricity. And the specific feature for the benefit of those of you who may not have followed the news, that from 1st of January, several reforms have already been implemented in restructuring the price structure, in addition to reducing the number of different categories. The medium and large hotels have now been unified into one category. As I previously mentioned, hotels were of 2 categories before, and now they have been unified into one category. And the number of blocks for household pricing has been retained at 6, although the government policy may have caused an increase in the number of blocks. Most importantly, street lighting costs have now been socialized. In the electricity pricing jargon, what you mean by socializing is very simple. You divide the cost among all the customers who use electricity. So from the 1st of January, all the customers are paying for the electricity bill of the whole country to provide street lighting. And the indicative value of that bill is about 25 cents on a kilowatt hour on your bill. And more reforms to establish and follow the roadmap are coming. 1st of July, there is a revision due, and 1st of January next year. And there onwards, every 6 months, revisions are due to the price structure. In trying to take the presently confusing price structure to a more rationally designed price structure and price level by year 2015. And most importantly, by year 2015, the electricity industry, using the window of opportunity of reducing production costs and the other benefits that I have previously enumerated, should be reporting profits. Of course, some might think that it is a dream,